Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Charlton Chronicles. I'm sorry you can't see me. I know you can hear me because I'm not meant to be hosting. I'm just waiting for Tyler. So I'm just going to do the introductions. As you can see, we're joined by Tom, Stephen, Sid, and Paul. Tyler will be joining very shortly, I hope. Tom, how are you?
I'm all good. I'm actually quite happy after a draw yesterday. It was probably a fair result in the end, and on to a humongous game on Saturday.
Yeah, and Paul, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm still in the Oasis zone, as Steve said before we came on air. So but I'm happy with the point. Probably should have been 3, but I'm sort of irritated more than sort of devastated after last night.
Yeah, and Stephen, Sid, how are you?
I'm still feeling supersonic after Sunday with Paul for the Oasis. Yeah, I'm still pleased about the result of the weekend, and satisfied last night as well.
Yeah, cool. So we will say good evening to a few people in the chat. So Rob's in there first. He said, "Good evening, all. I was hoping for a win at Derby, but in the end, a draw and a point is better than none." Charlton fan hub's in there. Top of the morning to you, lads and lasses. Great point yesterday, but not at our best. I think it shows how much Edwards was important to our team, but James Bree can honestly have my babies. Here is Tyler. Tyler, I'm just going to finish reading these comments out. Sorry, and then I'll hand over to you. Tracy, good evening. Chris is in there. Good evening. Good evening to Jack. Good evening to Lionel. Good evening to Chris. And Tracy said, "Thanks for the screenshot, Paul." So I'm gonna leave you to it, and I'm gonna leave you in the very capable hands of our Tyler. So have a good show, guys.
See you.
So thank you very much. Handing over the reins back over to me, taking over Chronicles duties tonight for the second time. The first one hopefully went well. By the sounds of it, it did. And we're back on tonight to discuss, obviously, the Derby County game. Obviously, as these guys have said, quite irritating result. It was probably a game of two halves, to be fair, and a point that we probably would have taken before the game, but in the context of how the game went, slightly frustrating, but I suppose a point is better than none. So we'll, of course, discuss that game, pull out a few key points because there is some interesting points to talk about across that game. And then, of course, we will look ahead to Preston on Saturday. I can't get the chat up, unfortunately, so Tom will be looking after the chat tonight, as ever, for the first one that I did. So get your thoughts in the chat, of course, on the thoughts that we on the topics that we talk about, and we will discuss them if there's some interesting points. So, Tom, I just mentioned you, so we'll come to you first. Of course, 1-1 against Derby last night. Give us your overall thoughts on the game without going into too much detail on individual performances, because we'll pick out a few in a minute.
And as I said in my video after the game, I thought it was a game of two halves at the end of the day. First off, we probably could have maybe scored more than one, but our goal is one of the best team goals that I've seen from a Charlton side in a very, very long time. The touch from Charlie Gelman to set that up is absolutely diabolical as well, by the way. Absolutely insane. Hopefully that boosts his confidence a bit. Second half, did we sit back a little bit? Maybe. But I did feel a goal coming for them. Obviously, Kaminsky made one hell of a bloody save as well. And I thought maybe will someone get a win. But a header can't really do much better than that, really, can they? I mean, as you say, we'll take a point. I think most of us kind of said draw as well. But yeah, other than that, I'm quite actually happy, to be fair, because the team actually fought for something as well. It wasn't like, okay, we should have won, we should have done this. It was a fair game. I think Derby fans also said that as well. But yeah, a point's a point, and on to a huge game on Saturday, as I say.
Yeah, indeed. I think I agree with you there, to be fair. I think after the game ended, I think I was a bit frustrated considering the way that we played in that first half and the way that, again, we looked very competitive at this level and we looked like we could control a very established and decent championship side, and arguably we could have scored more. We had chances in the game to do that. And then, of course, the second half kind of got away from us, and we will talk about that in terms of what caused that, because there were some interesting tactical decisions that we will talk about. But I think after sort of calming down, I think it was sort of yeah, I think generally game was a fair result. Probably it was a game of two halves, and we both gave each other some good attacking chances to deal with, and ultimately we come away with a point. Stephen, Sid, coming to you guys next. Interested to get your thoughts on this. Do you see this game potentially as 2 points dropped or a point gained?
I think it's a hard one because I feel like we did deserve to win, but then again, could also possibly see their goal coming. And I do think that it might have been a lack of upfront players tracking back. And then also, I don't think that we got caught out a few times with our defenders. But overall, I do think that we should have won the game.
Yeah, I agree. To be honest, there's another one of those where, especially in the first half, as we said, I think our attacking firepower was just so strong coming into that we really should have taken the chances. But then again, in the second half, Derby just come at us and it was the same sort of thing. Steve, anything to add there? 2 points dropped or a point gained?
Yeah, it felt like 2 points dropped, I think, in the end after the first half showing. In the cold light of day, ultimately, it is a good point away, and it's another unbeaten game where we've shown what we're all about. We've shown a bit of mettle, and we've certainly shown that we can compete at this level. But yeah, it would have been lovely to hang on. It would have been lovely to take the 3 points away. But yeah, as I say, cold light of day. Let's have another game without a loss and move on to the next one on Saturday.
Yeah, that's the main thing. You got to keep positive going into this because, as I've said, we've continued to be competitive, and I think actually seeing on the Sky broadcast, I think if we'd have held on to that would have been our first time we'd won 3 games in a row in the Championship since 2015. So that would have been quite an impressive feat to do that. Shows how far we've come. Yes. Finally, Paul, coming to you. Wanted to talk, obviously, we'll get your thoughts on the game as well, but talking more generally about the start that we've had to the season as well. 8 games, 3 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats, 8 goals scored, 6 conceded, 12 points, 8th in the league at the moment. Had we had won last night, I believe we would. I mean, obviously games are going on tonight, but had we won, we would be fourth. We would be fourth at the moment. So I look at that game, and as I said, I'll get your thoughts on the game as well. But I look at that game, and I look at other games where we've dropped points, and I think that, we've had a fantastic start to the season. I think a lot of Charlton fans would have bit your hand off to be in the position that we're in right now. We've been very competitive in most games, if not all of them. But I'm also left wondering, especially after the game last night, do you think that, we've been amazing, but do you think that we potentially could have had an even better start to the season, looking at the games where we have dropped points?
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's probably this juncture I should probably apologise to you and the guys and everyone watching, because actually I've still got my Oasis vibes on, as you can gather. And at half time, there was a question that came to my mind. Is it my imagination? Has the squad ready for the Premier League? So I apologise, right? You were lucky because I've got to say, Tyler, I was ready with my start here. I was going to give it the old hello. I thought that's a bit too much, a bit too pink to Frampton. No one knows.
That is quality.
But just to carry on, that's the end of the singing. I apologise to everyone.
The voice is calling.
But just to carry on, I just apologise to Noel Gallagher. I've just bowdlerised cigarettes and alcohol. But I won't sing anymore. But just to sort of carry on the theme, I'm just saying to anyone that's not been down the valley for ages, don't make it last a lifetime. You've got to make it happen. The guys are going to make it happen. We're going to the Premier League. The addicts. Anyway, normal service resume now. So anyway, I apologise for everybody. Tom, that will be nowhere near the socials. I'm sure I can trust you.
Wow. He's clipping that up. That's going to be on TikTok.
No, he's not. I can pay you money, big money. But no, so what we for props? We could have done better, couldn't we? But yeah, I think if you think about the games where we were competitive, Bristol City, excellent away draw, probably should have won. Leicester. But for Tarbu's worldie, we should have won. Millwall, well, we know obviously if Kane hadn't been sent off, I think we probably would have held on. QPR, let's not talk about that. But other than that, I think we've done exceptionally well. First half yesterday, the goal was incredible, wasn't it? It really was. A sort of a proper team effort from sort of 4 or 5 of them. Doc's, obviously Sonny's little layoff. Doc's lovely queue up for Breezer, the Diamond Breezer. Sorry. Excellent. It was great. And as I say, I think the fact that we've spent some time on the pod the last few weeks, bemoaning or ruining the fact that we didn't pick up points, when I think probably certainly myself before the season was approaching it with trepidation as to where we were going to end up or where we were going to start. Could we get a good start? we've had an excellent start. I mean, I think we could, as you say, it could have been better, but I would have taken that on the first game of the season. To be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody would have taken that, and I think the general thing we can take away from it, as the next international break approaches, is that we have been competitive. We've not been taken down lightly. Maybe apart from QPR, I think as you said, let's not talk about that. But I think generally we have looked strong. We've looked very good. It could have been better, as we said. We could have won yesterday. We could have won against Millwall, Bristol City, Leicester. But I think we can all take a lot of positives from the start of the season as well, and how we've begun this year, and we've looked very competitive. So
we deserve to be in this league, basically.
We do.
Stands, so.
Yeah, absolutely. As it stands, let's hope that sticks that way. Hopefully, we can get through the winter period where with certain injuries will start to kick in, and fatigue will kick in as well. Hopefully, we can navigate past that. Of course, unfortunately, we've been hit by one, which we will discuss a little bit. But yeah, going more into the game against Derby, let's pull out a couple of individual performances. Tom, James Bree, I think he is at the moment the man of the moment at this club. I see a stat he's been all over Twitter. He has scored 2 goals in his entire career before coming to Charlton, which he has now already matched within 4 days. Not to mention he has 2 assists in there as well.
It's mental. What
an introduction to this team he has been, and we've all spoke about that goal already. What a goal! Not just Bree's finish, but the build up to it as well. Long ball from Kaminsky, the touch from Kelman, as you said, diabolical. Great word to use for that. I thought when he drifted TC, played TC, and I thought he put in a little bit too far left. But the way that TC comes in, plays in Carey, first touch, Doherty flicks in, Bree straight off the shin, great strike. Keeper's not saving it. First of all, what a goal. But second of all, what an addition Bree's been to this team. He is absolutely relishing in that advanced role, which, where has that been? His entire career. That's all he's been crying out for. What do you make of him so far?
He's been absolutely immense. And I can't remember a right back that we've had that has been that good. so early on as well. We've had so many horrendous players on that side. It's mental. I think Solly was probably our last very decent one. It may be Dyke still, but as I said at the start, that goal is the best team goal I've seen from a Charlton side in God knows how long. And it just shows how Nathan Jones has changed this club around, because this time last year we was in an absolute hellhole, to put it lightly. But no, I mean my question is how does Apter get back in this team, because he's also an absolutely incredible player. But Bree, give him the bloody contract right now, give him a permanent deal ASAP, because if he's going to put in performances like that week in, week out, I am sat right up for it, and we will not be nowhere near the bottom of that table. We'll be pushing further up, in my opinion. That might be deluded of me, but no. But I can see us keeping. Hopefully, obviously, he stays fit, because the last thing we need is any injuries or anything like that. But so far so good. 2 goals, 2 assists in 3 games is absolutely insane. And I don't think you can get much better than that, really. As I say, hopefully he can kind of continue it into the next couple of games, because Saturday is ginormous, as I say. But no, he has been a breath of fresh air. I mean, I think the whole of that side's been brilliant as well, to be fair. And it's also giving Kane Ramsey a bit of a kick up the arse as well, I think, because he's not had any competition on that side. And now there's someone there. It gives Jones a bit of a headache, and I am glad I'm not in those shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been saying that quite a bit. The competitiveness of this squad and the signings we've made. No matter who comes into that team, it's a headache for Jones, first of all, to decide it, but we've also got a bit of confidence in terms of everyone can do a job. But yeah, Jones gets a lot of stick for us being called Luton Athletic, but my God, he pulled off a worldie there by getting Bree in.
Hey, they're not Luton players; they're his players.
Yeah, that's the way you got to look at it. You mentioned those 2 points there about Rob Apter and the fact that he's only here till January. Those are the next 2 questions I was going to ask about Bree. So Stephen Sid, I'll come to you about Rob Apter, because obviously he won our Player of the Month in August, and now all of a sudden he finds himself on the bench, and at the way Bree's playing, he's going to struggle to get back into this team. So I want to ask you, with Rob Apter, do you think it was harsh, first of all, for him to be dropped for Bree, and secondly, how difficult of a task do you think he has now to get back into this team with the way Bree's playing?
I think it's a bit of a faux pas in regards to having a good squad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every now and again, players are going to find themselves left out tactically, which is what I think he was left out. I think we went to the Sheffield United game with a potential of wilder bounce, the sort of wilder manager bounce. They'd be on us, and I think he probably gave us a little bit more defensive solidity than maybe Apter would have done. And that's no disrespect to Apter. They're two different players completely, but obviously Bree's more sort of athletic. He gives us an opportunity to defend well. But yeah, it's just one of those things. When you come in, you get the shirt. If you play, then you keep the shirt. And it's the same for the outgoing players. I don't doubt for one moment that Apter's probably a fantastic team player, and he's really pleased that the team's doing well in his absence. But he'll also, in a positive perspective, he'll be chomping at the bit next time he gets the opportunity to come in and do it exactly the same. So I think it's where Jones earns his money. Apter's a quality player. He gives us a different edge going forward, and there'll certainly be games that we may well be expected to win, or may well be expected to take the game to these opposition, where Apter will then come in and give us a different dimension. But yeah. Bree's been fantastic. They say never fall in love with a lone player, but he's making it very hard for us, isn't he? Yeah. But as I say, he looks like the kind of kid, Apter, that will get his head down and keep working. He seems to be very invested in Jones, and he seems to be enjoying his time at Charlton. So yeah, Bree keeps playing well, fantastic. Apter, when he comes on, he plays well. It can only be good for us as fans, and it can only be good for the team itself.
Yeah, all good points there. All good points. I think, as you said there, Apter, he's a young lad. He's got a point to prove at this level, and I think he proved in August that he can stick it at this level, as much as Blackpool fans like to have told us that he wouldn't have going into the season. But yeah, he's been fantastic, and I'm sure he will be, chomping up the bit, waiting to get back into that team. But Bree's going to make it tough for him, and I think that's where, as you said there, that's where Jones makes his money. That's where he's paid to make those tactical decisions. But I do find it quite interesting the fact that Apter, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he has actually come off the bench since Bree has started.
No.
So I am waiting to see if he can make that sort of impact in the game. And then Sid, coming to you, I mean, Steve just said there, don't never fall in love with a lone player. At what point do we get on the blower to Southampton and say, name your price, get this guy in on a permanent? Because surely we've got to be keeping him beyond September, beyond January.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that we should sign him up and give him a contract, because he's doing so well. And why would you want to lose that talent when Southampton loaned him out because they didn't want to use his talent?
Yeah, exactly.
He's also out of contract in the summer as well. So so
I'm sure there'll be some sort of negotiation. I mean, let's face it, Bree's probably going to be leaving Southampton anyway. So there'll probably be some sort of, Bree won't sign a new contract with Southampton, so he'll probably sit there and go, look, just send me to Charlton now. It'll probably be pennies, if anything, but Southampton might want to hold out for a little fee. But I doubt they'll get anything if he's out of contract in the summer. Paul, coming to you, I want to talk about a player now who I don't think has barely been recognised all season, really, purely because of the players in front of him. But I think last night we finally got to see what sort of quality that he could offer this team. Thomas Kaminski, I think this was the first game really that he was properly tested. And we have to say, really, thinking about it in the second half, if it wasn't for him, arguably we could have lost it with the way that, the chances that we faces and the saves that he pulled off. Obviously, it's been difficult to kind of assess Kaminski because he's had practically nothing to do. He's not faced any real shots on target. QPR, he was criticised a bit. He arguably could have done better for some of them goals. But generally, the defence in front of him has, it's given him the clean sheets. He's got 4 clean sheets, but the defence in front of him has been that. So I wanted to get your thoughts on how he played last night. Do you think that he kept us in that? And is that the quality that you expected from Kaminski when we signed him from Luton?
He certainly did. There's a save from Bobby Clark. Bobby Clark should have actually put it to his left, but there we are. It was a sharp save, and then also there was the other one at his near post where he did what a lot of goalkeepers have done. He got his legs together and his hands together, so it didn't go through him, which a lot of keepers can be guilty of at the near post. So he was bought as a shot stopper. I think most of us, or certainly I've got my issues about some of the other parts of his game. We saw his kicking game wasn't up to much. And I just don't think he's all that authoritative, when it comes to crosses. He does like the old punch, but I don't think he's all that authoritative. A lot of European keepers like sort of the double punch, and they come through a crowd of players. I'm getting that ball, come up my Bosch or whatever, but he's not quite the same. But as I say, as a shot stopper, I mean, obviously, as you say, you touched on it there, it's difficult, isn't it? When you've got a good defence in front of you, you don't get many opportunities. Whereas at Luton in the Premier League, I mean, he got the start of the season, he was probably making about 10 or 15 saves every game, wasn't he, basically, because of the situation they were in. Probably not as many as that, but you know what I mean. So it is difficult. You have to keep your concentration up. And I thought he was excellent yesterday. He kept us in it. You know, feasibly, they could possibly have won it, which would have been unjust, I think. Well, it would have been unjust. So, yeah, we did start to see his quality. But as you say, it's because the defence is so good in front of him. He doesn't really get much opportunity to show himself, really. So, as I say, hopefully he won't have much opportunity to show himself again for the other games. I'm sure that happen. As you said, as we get into Christmas, those sort of cold, wet Tuesday or Wednesday nights in Stoke or whatever, you know, proverbially, that's where he's again going to be tested, because where the team might be struggling, they look to him to sort of provide that sort of buttress at the back. So, as I say, so yeah, I think good for him. Best game he's had for us yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you kind of want your keeper to not do anything. That's like, you don't want his keeper to be tested. But last night he was, and it was sort of the first time that he has been this season, and it was good to see that. I think last night proved that he can keep us in games, you know, and he is. Yeah. I mean, he was the Championship's best keeper, arguably, a few seasons ago, and he was Luton's best player in the Premier League. So he has got quality, and he did prove that last night. And yeah, arguably, you know, saved us a point, you could say, in the way the second half played. Tom, we've obviously spoke about Kaminsky there. I'm going to give you the back three, because obviously, you know, they were kind of the ones who sort of let it slip, I guess you could say, in terms of, you know, Kaminsky needing to come into the game. So obviously Gillespie came in as we expected him to, with Edwards being injured at left wing back, and of course Jones, and then Burke was rested, as again we expected, and Ramsey came back in. Now, I think first half, I think it was your usual sort of thing. You know, the back three did the job. They looked good. Gillespie, I think, was impressive. Jones looked strong as well. Ramsey was the one I felt you could notice he wasn't exactly on the same sort of performance level. Not to say that he had a bad game, because I didn't think he had a bad game, but you could notice that he wasn't exactly the same sort of player. And I kind of think that Millwall red card is still kind of playing on his mind a little bit. But I think generally the first half we did look strong. Second half kind of dipped off a little bit. I think that was noticeable. Derby managed to get through. You know, they look threatening going forward. Their attackers, you know, Adjumang, Morris, Clark, Burton, Diaz. They got some threatening players, you know, and eventually they did get through us in what was a pretty soft goal, and a commentator's curse, you know, saying that, oh yeah, we haven't conceded a goal from a set piece this season. So what happens? Of course. But yeah, wanted to get your overall thoughts on the back three. How do you think they played, and you know, the sort of general Gillespie getting a start, Ramsey coming back in? How do you think they sort of fitted back into the team after a little bit of a time away from the first 11?
Well, Lloyd, I think Lloyd, just put in a Lloyd thing. I think you know you're going to get from him. He's going to header everything away. He's going to go through you if he needs to. Maka, I thought it was about time he got a start as well. I thought he did all right. I thought him and Morris were very, very physical with each other. I thought that was going to be from the start as well. Ramsey, yeah. Obviously, I think we kind of have an expectation of Ramsey's performances now. And I think that, like as you say, he didn't play bad at all. He put in a decent performance. He made a very crucial tackle in the second half when they were through on goal. And obviously they could have won there. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought there was all right. Obviously, their goal maybe. I think someone did lose their man. I'm not sure who it was, but it could have done better, because it was a free header at the end of the day, and you can't be doing that from a set piece, especially. Yeah. I mean, as I say, I can't remember the last time we really conceded from one, and that's obviously a positive. But I'm sure Jones will probably work on that. Jones will work on it very well. But the back line, I mean, as we said on Sunday, we've got options now, which. We've never had options at the back. Burke's now fit, which I think will be interesting going into Saturday. I'm sure we'll talk about it. Obviously, Macca's now there. Bell's now a wing back as well, and then obviously Bree as well. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think I didn't think they were bad at all. I thought they put in a decent enough performance, but obviously, as I say, their goal, I should say, was a bit soft. I did think in real time, Kaminsky could have maybe done a bit better, but looking back, it was right in the corner, and he was quite unlucky with it, but not much complaints really going into it. And yeah, hopefully, obviously, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I'm sure it'll be a lot more solid for Preston.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, we know how good this defence has been under Jones since he's come in. I mean, the bread's in the pudding this season. We've conceded 6 goals. It's the second best defensive record in the league so far, which is absolutely ridiculous. And it's not going to be unbeatable all season. That stuff is going to happen. You know, they're going to have off days, so to speak. But I think generally, to be honest, I don't think the defence was as bad as what some people made them out to be. No. Yeah, we were caught out a couple of times, but I think generally it was another decent performance. And as you said there, rightfully said, we are rest assured that we have got some very solid options at the back. I mean, it was only a few years ago where we had the likes of Sam Lavelle, Michael Hector and Terrell Thomas to fall upon.
You're triggering me, yeah, Tyler. Right,
shows how far we've come now.
We used to play. We used to play Chris Gunter at centre back, for Christ's sake. So we've come a long way.
That's really bad days.
Yes.
Really bad days. Pap Soiree left wing back. Speaking of left wing back, Steve, I'll come to you with the wing backs. Of course, we've touched upon James Bree and how amazing he was, but Amari Bell, it wasn't an unfamiliar position for him because he's played, obviously, that is his natural position. But in terms of for Charlton, he's played left-sided centre-back and he come in at left wing-back last night, had an opportunity to score. I remember at one point in the second half, he had a good opportunity to put a ball in the back of the net. But I was interested to get your thoughts on how you felt Bell played at left wing-back, replacing Edwards, who, I mean, me and Paul, massive fans of him. We know how big of an impact he has on the team, and he is a big loss to see him out for a couple of weeks. Thankfully, it is only a couple of weeks. But interested to see what you thought of Bell's performance in terms of how he compared playing left-sided centre-back to left wing-back, if you noticed any sort of differences. Was he more noticeable as a wing-back, or did he kind of have a bit of a, I don't know, wasn't as noticeable, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know what you're going to get with Bell now, don't you? You know, it's 100% effort, commitment. His athleticism is fantastic, probably on a level with Josh in regards to, you know, the way he could potentially get up and down and get his tackles in, etc. Yeah, we may miss a little bit going forward. You know, Josh can get forward well, and he gets a good cross in if he gets time to put quality in. Whereas that's probably a little bit more foreign to Amari. But yeah. On the other side of things, you know, you're talking about one of our best defenders this season sitting in front of one of our best defenders from last season. So, yeah, I think what you lose going forward, you may well gain coming back. But, yeah, I don't have any issues with Bell at all. I just think he's an outstanding performer. I think he's probably a solid 8.5 every week. You know, he rarely looks like he's got a mistake in him. But, yeah, he's probably got to link up with Macca pretty well. Yeah, it's different from Josh, very different from Josh, and we are going to miss Josh, that's for sure. But yeah, I think we've got a trusted replacement. If it's for 2 or 3 weeks, fantastic. The question will come when Josh comes back. Then what happens to Macca? It's Macca versus Bell, isn't it? So yeah, I think there'll be more decisions for Jones to make when that happens.
Exactly that, more selection headaches. But yeah, I think we've always said it. When Bell come in, we all sort of thought, yeah, he's going to be a squad player. He's not really going to get in the team. But arguably, he's been our best player coming in the season. You know, the versatility that he shows, the confidence and composure that he has on the ball is just phenomenal. And as you say there, we've lost a little bit going forward in terms of the wing back with Edwards out in the team. And personally, I mean, looking at the options we've got, I don't see why potentially with Bree playing so well, Apter moves over to the left and gives Bell a bit of competition and potentially comes off the bench in his position and rivals him a little bit. But I mean, you know, Bell has been fantastic. He's probably, you know, you can't drop him with the way that he's been playing at the moment. So it's good to see that, you know, we've got that versatility and he can play in that position. Obviously, left wing back is his natural position. He's been playing so well. Sid, coming to you for the midfield 3, I'm going to give you now, again, probably another solid performance from all 3 of them, really. Coventry done the job in the midfield. Doherty, again, for me, was outstanding. And again, proving how solid he has been since, you know, when we questioned him for the first game, he put into real captain's performance. And Sonny Carey, again, got himself about. What was your thoughts on that midfield 3? How do you think they got on yesterday?
Yeah, I think out of the 3, I think Doc was the best player. He got there, and even the touch that he put over and the little flick to breathe for the goal. I mean, he's looked directly through and he's thought, yeah, I'm going to hit Bree. And then he's gone for it. And then obviously Bree scored. But just little things like that is making him the better player. And even I think when we got stuck near our goal at one point, he just swiftly took the ball out and then hit it up the pitch. And even Connor Coventry again making those tackles, and then being the good midfielder that he is. And also Sonny Carey got about as well a lot last night.
Yeah, I thought it was another solid display from all three of them, to be honest. They all got stuck in the high energy that they've showed really all season, and as you said there, Doherty just keeps getting better every week. Carey is proving to be one of the best players in this squad, and Coventry is just Mr. Reliable, as he always is. Paul, wanted to come to you about the substitutions. Now, I think that, for me, is where that momentum shifted in the second half. Now, obviously, with the way, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, we have to rest players. We can't risk injuries. We can't risk fatigue. We've got to keep things sharp. And as Jones has proved, he's been very sort of, he likes to make substitutions quite late in the game. And yesterday he did something quite unusual for his standards in that he made the subs early. Yeah. Now, when you look at the subs, you probably wouldn't bat an eyelid. Leeburn coming on for Kelman, Cole, Nibs coming on for Carey, Bree getting rested, Burke coming on, Ramsey coming on at right wing back, and then Alafe coming on. I felt, okay, this is interesting, give Derby some fresh legs to go up against, and hopefully we can get another goal. And for me, when the subs come on, the momentum just shifted like that. And it just, that was when Derby sort of started to come at us. And that was when, for me, that was when they got into the game, and that's when the tide shifted and they suddenly got into it. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the substitutions. Do you think, first of all, they were the right subs? How do you think those subs played? And did that change the game? And is that what cost us the 3 points?
Well, you didn't ask me the question, but I'm going to answer any
questions in one.
What's at the timing of the subs? You sort of alluded to it, obviously. And I just thought, to me, it was too early. You're right, the momentum, we still had the momentum even after half time. Bree had scored a great goal. Sonny was doing bits as he does. And it's like, well, okay, I appreciate, you need to sort of freshen it up, and we've got an important game on Saturday and all the rest of it. But I think if you've got the momentum, because they were starting to come back into it, I thought, very gradually. And I can sort of possibly understand he wanted a bit more physicality to try and stem it. But, I mean, Bree was, obviously, I couldn't understand why he took Bree and Sonny off particularly. I couldn't see that they were flagging in any way. And I just think, sometimes it's, if you've got something good going, let it go, continue it, basically. So yeah, I was quite surprised. I could kind of understand it because, bring Miles and Tanto on, we've all been sort of crying for that, haven't we, basically? But I just think, Derby sort of got a bit between their teeth. Any team with, what's his face, Charlton, leading the line is going to be dangerous, basically. I mean, he's been rejuvenated since he came from Luton. He's like a spring chicken, and it's great. As I say, they got ahead of steam up. And it was just, absolutely, I think they sort of, Carlton Morris, sorry, cheating looking at football, begging his pardon. But yeah, I just felt that they'd start, I mean, they've got some, athletic players, Premier League, Brenton Diaz was in the Premier League. I think he's on loan from Southampton, isn't he? But he was playing, I mean, these are seasoned, wily championship players. And as you give them an inch, they're going to take the proverbial mile. So I felt we kind of let them back in. As I say, they were starting to sort of inch their way back in after half time. They came at us, didn't they? Pretty. I thought it was going to be another QPR job, sort of second half version of QPR. First 10 minutes, we weathered the storm, and I thought, we could, we were bending but not breaking. And I did sort of think that actually it probably wasn't the time. I would have said, give it till 70, 75 minutes, and then maybe see what's going on. Because if you start, as I say, you start sort of tinkering with the sort of the squad or the team's makeup, bad things come, I think. So yeah, I was surprised. It sort of seems to be one extreme or the other to me, Tyler. He either leaves it too late or he does it too early, and you sort of question why. And I couldn't understand the logic. If you can understand, well, I kind of could understand the logic, I suppose, because he brought some physical players on to try and stem the tide. But they were already the game was already starting to get away from us a bit. So I did sort of wonder. I would have said, maybe leave it 10, 15 minutes and then make them. But, as I say, they could have possibly scored in that time. So I would have had to eat my words. But yeah, I was a bit sort of surprised, to be fair.
Yeah, strange because probably that was the sort of game where we actually wanted Jones to leave it late in terms of the substitutions with the way that we were playing. Yeah, the Bree and the Carey subs were the ones that got me, I think, because the way that they were playing and, they didn't seem leggy at all. I mean, I can understand it. I mean, obviously, as I said, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, the schedule's been a bit congested this week, so you want to try and rest them. But as I said, and as we've said there, they didn't really look like they wanted to come off. They wanted to continue. I mean, Burke, I think, was okay when he come on. I mean, obviously gave away a foul throw, and that's where we miss Josh Edwards. Very strange foul throw to give away there. I felt Nibs got himself about, very physical, put himself and arguably could have scored a winner late on. Leeburn and Tanto, I didn't think was as effective. I don't think Tanto had enough time on the pitch really to make an impact. But yeah, I think it was one of them really. I think it was one of them where probably we could have done with it, leaving it a little bit later. But as you said, the game was already coming away from us a little bit. So arguably, if we had left it late, maybe it would have been the exact same result. Tom, I believe we've got some people in the chat saying a couple of things to raise.
Yeah, obviously earlier on, some people are saying every point in this league counts and we need to take as many as we can. Some people are saying it's 2 points dropped. There's one that I saw. David said, for me, that the killer blow was from the start of the second half, taking off Bree was a mistake because I think after he went off, there wasn't much going on down that side. Bell has been a revelation for us, but we need to be careful with him because obviously he's 31, playing for Jamaica and us. Obviously, you've got to be careful with him as well. Bree, Carey, Kelman coming off on 57 minutes tells me they'll definitely start for on Saturday against Preston. People are saying that Kaminsky's been all right. Obviously, the ball he played for, obviously with the one at Chef and last night, proves the type of keeper he is as well. And then people are just saying Kelman also played well as well last night, which I also think he did as well.
Yeah, I agree, and that is actually a very nice segue because that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. And I want to get everybody involved in this as well because it is quite the topic to discuss. Of course, the front two, and people in the chat, be free to get your get discussions flowing as well because I'm interested to get everybody's thoughts on this. Beginning with Steve and Sid, obviously Kelman and TC again starting. I think generally Kelman for me it continues to get stronger with every game that he plays. I think last night. He had some great chances, had some great shots, tested their keeper a few times. We can't knock his work ethic as ever. TC was okay, he drove the ball forward a few times, a similar sort of TC performance we've seen this season. But again, that combination, not scoring, again, starting games and not scoring. So first of all, I'll just ask your general thoughts. What did you make of Kelman and TC and that partnership, how they played while they were on the pitch?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Tyler. Ultimately, people will look straight away and go, well, that none of them scored again. I think there were some good bits. The only worry I have about those two as a two is that obviously they played against two giant centre halves last night and two very physical players. And I think sometimes when you're trying to get either a quality ball into the front two or even a get rid of a ball into the front two, sometimes you just need someone like Miles to potentially stick his backside into the centre half, hold it up, give everyone a little breather and bring other people into play. But those guys obviously haven't got that physicality, and I think sometimes we do miss that. But there was improvement last night. I don't think there's any doubt about Charlie's quality. You saw that when he took that ball out of the air. I know they're all professional footballers, but that's quite an art in itself, taking a ball out of the air from that height and then obviously springing on an attack. But you'd just probably like to see just a tiny bit more menace and creativity between the two of them, just so one of them, maybe if they played off each other, it might be nice to see a little, 1-2 between them and advance beyond the back four or something like that. I mean, Kilman got a couple of shots off last night. And the boy can shoot. He knows where the goal is. It's maybe just a little bit of a shame that we don't see more of that. But I don't think any of them did particularly fantastic last night. But I certainly don't think that they did anything wrong or they were there to be shot at. But as I say, I think potentially Miles came on at the right time. I would have liked to see Tanto get a few more minutes as well. Yeah, and I think if we'd have had Carey on for longer with Miles and Tanto, we may have seen a different last 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, he quite obviously is going to go against any public comment about, let's get Leeburn in, let's get Tanto in. He's got those two as his starters at the moment. And I suppose it's just one of those things that we're going to have to not put up with, because they're our players and they're, they're working hard and they're doing well. But yeah, we just need to see the goals between those two at the moment, I think.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I think that's the main thing that everyone's going to focus on, because ultimately they're starting in a championship side up front and they need to be scoring. And we're 8 games into a season now and neither of them have. And I think that's what people are going to be focusing on the most. I think, as you said there, I think in terms of performance levels, Kelman is getting stronger. We know that he is a good player for this. We know that he has got potential and he had chances to score yesterday. He is growing and growing and growing. And you can see that once he gets that goal, the potential is there for him to kick on. And then obviously TC, again, the performance levels, we know what he can offer this side. But as we have discussed several times on the Chronicles, end product has always been a problem for him. And that is going to be, I think it will become a problem as the season goes on. Sid, interesting. I'm going to pull you in on Kelman specifically for this, because I actually felt that he was hooked off too early in the game. I felt that he didn't really get enough time on the pitch to really show what he could do. I don't think 55 minutes was what he deserved, to be honest, with the way that he played. So I'm interested to get your thoughts in terms of, do you think Kelman could have offered a bit more going on into the game? And how do you think we can get the best out of him? Because it's clear that he's showing potential, but I also think that in the system that we play, something just isn't clicking with him at the moment. I
think that he did come off at the right time, to be honest, because I mean, one player that doesn't fit into the system, you can't just change your whole system for one player. And I think that is what would need to happen if he wanted to get better and fit into the team properly. But obviously you can't just change a whole system for one player. And I do think that when Miles and Tanto came on, it was better, because I don't think that Kelman and TC work at all together, because I think that it needs to be either Tanto and Kelman start, or Tanto and Miles start, or Miles and Kelman start. And I just think that Tyrese and Kelman need, if they are going to stay as a partnership, because Nathan Jones won't drop either of them, I think that they need to find a system between themselves, because we're not scoring goals out of them too. It's always the other players, not the attacking players. So I do think that something needs to change. And in my opinion, I would start Miles and Tanto. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that, to be honest. I think Leeburn and Tanto, that partnership, even though I think the first time we saw it was in the Carabao Cup against Stevenage, but it looked as though they'd been playing with each other for years. They fed off each other. They're very sort of similar in terms of their physicality, and they can hold the ball up, and they're not exactly slow either. Tanto's rapid, and Leeburn he's got a bit of pace for a 6'7" striker. So we're in a very difficult position with the attack right now. And Paul, I'll pull you in with this as well. I agree completely with Sid in that TC and Kelman is a combination that I do not see working at all. I think really it's the thing with Campbell for me is that we've said it so many times, he's not a natural striker. He finds himself drifting to the left. He tries to cut in on his right or put balls into the box, and it leaves Kelman isolated and it leaves him alone. And that is the same sort of problem that we've had with a few strikers in the past. I think Gassana had maybe in the notable example of it last season. It's just, I think we're very limited with that front two. And then when obviously Leeburn and Tanto come on, I mean, yes, they're being used as impact players. But for me personally, I mean, I don't see why we don't do it the other way round. Start Leeburn and Tanto, especially in a game like against Derby where they've got physical centre-halves. If you have the likes of Leeburn and Tanto bullying that defensive line, then once they're a bit, weared out and leggy, that's when you bring Kelman and TC on, who have got a bit more pace. They can run in behind and cause them all sorts of problems. We're in a very weird sort of situation. So I wanted to sort of ask you, what do you think was the sort of best approach for that forward line against that Derby side? Because for me, looking at the Kelman and TC partnership, it just isn't working, and I don't see how they're supposed to combine for goals at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked, haven't we, about the strength of the squad, and in theory, Jones should be able to sort of chop and change, strategically. and put maybe Charlie and TC in for certain games and Miles and Tanto in for others. But then I suppose you get that disjointed thing, don't they? You need, I suppose, a run of games, don't you, for it to work? I think for me, I think you touched on it. I think Charlie and TC need to get closer, basically. I mean, essentially, what I'd like to see is TC get to the byline, get some crosses in, and Charlie run near post, far post, penalty spot, so he knows exactly where it is. And it's just, I don't know whether TC is being beset by some of his old confidence issues, but it's like he's checking back far too often for me. It's like, just go to the byline. Either shoot on sight. I mean, he had that curler, didn't he, against Blackburn, which just went up, which could have been a couple of feet to the left. It would have been a cracking goal. But it's like, get to the byline, get the crosses in. Let Charlie know where the balls are going to be. Be consistent, and then have a look. Charlie. A lot of his goals last season for Orient were sort of near post, far post. He made those runs, and Donnelly, whoever fed him, or Galbraith would feed him. And it was like they knew where he was going to be. And they were obviously done on the training ground. And it's so disjointed with TC. And it's like, just go on, just shoot or putt. Or, he seems to be caught between two stools half the time. As you know, I mean, I'm a TC fan. And I think, if the opposition managers leave him alone, then they'll do that at their peril, because he will punish you. So, I mean, as I say, they need to deploy, one or two defenders on him at all times, I think. But it's just, it's like it's neither the one or the other. Get to the byline, get the crosses in, go a bit deper. I mean, we saw a great cross, of course, that he made for the goal. He played his part in the goal. So it's that sort of thing. You want that on a consistent basis. Instead of which he's sort of getting the ball and he seems almost sort of, too sort of shy and lacking confidence to take people on. And then he'll get brushed off the board again, like as he did yesterday a couple of times. It's like, he gets unbalanced and they just nick the ball off him, and it's just it's just such a shame, because he could be such a weapon. I mean, not in a good way, obviously. He just needs to. It's just I feel like saying to both of them, just bloody go for it. Just go for it. It's just as Steve said, Charlie got a couple of shots off. There was one particularly angled shot from distance. I thought, oh, that's great. Go on then, shoot on sight. Any opportunity, just shoot on sight. Edge of the penalty area, 25 yards out, whatever, just shoot. Give yourself an opportunity, or give someone else an opportunity. Get the keeper to make a save. Hopefully someone will hit the rebound in. It's just, they seem almost beset, I think, by almost fear sometimes. And I just think, just loose the shackles. Just go for it, really. I think. But as I say, in terms of how they play, I mean, they're almost playing like strangers, aren't they? They just need to get closer. Even if it's just a few yards apart, that they can just as I say, help each other. But it's just they both look sort of lost souls to some extent, and it's like they both got such potential, as Charlie showed last season. You feed him the ball, you get him the ball in the right positions, and he's just gonna he'll feast on it. He just isn't getting stuff. He's feeding on scraps at the moment, and I think he's getting criticised because he's not putting chances away, but he's not getting many clear cut chances, is he really? And we're looking to TC to do that, to feed him. He's just not doing it. And it's just, I don't know. I hope they can solve it. But I'd agree that I think we do need to start Miles and Tanto. We need to see what they're made of, not just bring them on with half an hour to go, basically. So sorry, I've rambled on a bit there. So you get
no. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's definitely a topic that needs to be rambled about, because it's becoming a bit of a problem right now. And I completely agree with you, to be honest, about TC and Kelman. I think ultimately, if Jones is going to play them as a partnership, then they need to be feeding off each other. They need to learn to play with each other and play to each other's strengths. And TC ultimately, for me, limits Kelman by drifting so far to the left. He does need to get closer, and you saying there, shoot on sight, pull the trigger, have some shots, and that's exactly what I felt Kelman did last night. And I think we're starting to see him loosen those shackles a little bit, and he's willing to pull the trigger a bit more. So hopefully we can see a bit more of improvement from there. Finally, Tom, I'll get your thoughts on the attack as well. 8 games in, 8 goals, 1 goal from our strikers combined out of the 4 of them so far. Bit of a general question. What do we do going forward with the forward line? What would the preferred 2 that you would go for with the options we've got right now?
Well, the obvious one's obviously Tanto and Lieberman, but I would like to see Lieberman and Kelman, because I think that's that big man, little man system as well, isn't it? It worked for a bit against QPR as well. I thought the flick-ons were perfect for them. I think that's the type of system Kelman likes as well. But then at the same time, you could have Carey being that Jamie Donnelly from last year, maybe feeding him in, because I mean Carey can bring the ball forward and do that. It is a weird one because obviously I think we know by now TC, unless he gets injured, which I hope he don't, he will not be dropped from Jones at all. He is trusted by him, and once you get that Nathan Jones trust, I don't think you're literally undroppable at all. I mean, there's a few people saying in the chat, the longer TC and Calvin partnership continues without bulging the net, the crowd are going to get on their backs, and that will balls up their confidence, and it just won't work at all. Jones keeps taking it off too early. Gassan, Godden, Lieburn, and now Kelman have partnered with TC regularly, and it hasn't worked. Really, I mean, maybe apart from Godders, maybe, but that's like the end of last season.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, as I say, because if they play like they did last night against Preston, I think we will be in deep trouble. But hopefully Jones has the balls to drop him, because I think I've said a few times, TC off the bench when their defense is tired is mental, because he will run at your defense and he will take the ball. You're going to matter. So maybe Kelman and Tyrese off the bench could work. Maybe Kelman and Tanto off the bench. I don't know. But something needs to change quickly, because, as I say, we was in this sort of position this time last season where we didn't know, because Gas was starting every week, with obviously TC until he got, I think, injured or until Goddard was fit again, which hopefully is soon, because I know obviously we can't rely on one player, but Goddard is that type of player that, if he's in front of goal, I am 99% sure he will score a goal. It's as simple as that. Hopefully with Hernandez coming in as well, that maybe boosts TC a little bit, because obviously he's on that side as well. And I think if and when Hernandez is fully fit, I think he will be knocking on the door. I know he's only here till January, but I think he will bring another body and another bit of physicality to the squad, because I think from what I was hearing from Norwich fans, he will run and he'll just give his all. He's very physical. He'll run through if he has to, as I say. But yeah, and as Ruster said, if we play like that, we'll get hammered on Saturday. It's as simple as that. But no, hopefully, as I say, Jones sorts something out soon, because 8 games and only one striker scored is quite worrying. I know we always come back to May and Gordon started slow, but they were getting 1 or 2 goals at this point in our season as well. So Kelman, we can see he's getting more confident week in, week out. I thought maybe one of those chances yesterday could have got him. But then I think there was a chance in the first half where he was throwing the chance to play it to TC, but he didn't. For me, it's like, does he trust his striking partner as well, or is it just Jones trusting him as well? But yeah.
Yeah, I think the common denominator with the attack that we've had since Jones has come in is that TC is struggling to find a strike partner, and he's struggling to sort of adapt to the striker role, so to speak, because he isn't a natural striker. That's the problem. He isn't a natural striker, so he naturally drifts wide. So I feel like Jones has got that to work on with him. If he's going to play him up front as a striker, he needs to learn to stay central and play that more central role a bit more, because he's just limiting the strikers that he ends up playing with. So Jones has a difficult decision to make for me in terms of TC. I do like him. I'm not knocking him. I'm not getting on the bandwagon of a lot of people saying, he's a poor player. But I did question at the start of the season whether the Championship was too big of a step for him. And so far, the end product problem that he has had last season is going to catch up with him, and it is catching up with him. So I think Jones has got a difficult decision to make in terms of what forward line we end up going with, because ultimately the strikers need to be scoring more goals. It's as simple as that. Yes, we are hitting the back of the net. We got 3 against Blackburn on Saturday. We can score goals, and it's coming from different areas of the pitch, which is good to see. But the main area where it needs to be coming from is the strike force. And I'm interested to see what happens when Godden comes back from fitness. And Tom, as you rightly said there, touched upon, we will very briefly talk about our latest addition, Ornel Hernandez, who of course has come in until January on a free deal. Of course, as you mentioned there, he spent, I think, 7.5 years at Norwich. He had loan spells at Borough and Birmingham as well. So very experienced.
Bring on Ipswich.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot wait to watch us play Ipswich now and seeing him, if he does get on the pitch and gets to kick the living daylights at Marcelino Nunes. I watched his YouTube video on, I think it was on Monday night. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is so good. I can't wait to see him. Tom's obviously given his thoughts. So Paul, I'll ask you very briefly. Ornel Hernandez, what do you think of the signing, and what sort of role do you think he'll play for us from now until January?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised because I subscribe to the Talk Norwich City podcast, and Chris and Jack on there are really good friends with him. I think a lot of him, and a lot of Norwich fans think a lot of him. I think towards the end of his time, perhaps wasn't getting as much of a game as possible. As you say, went out on loan to Borough and Blues. But he was certainly in the early days. He was a very exciting winger, just piled down the wing, got crosses in, cut in. Did the sort of things that we want TC to do, cut in, had a shot and scored some really good goals. So I don't know if it's me. I'm a fine one to talk about this, but he looked like he had a bit extra timber on yesterday from what I could see. Mm-hmm. So I may be wrong on that, of course. But yeah, as I say, you need to get rid of that, I think. But obviously, I was pleasantly surprised to know, because it obviously came out of left field, didn't it? Mm-hmm. So I would like to think he'd give us some sort of he can sort of shut up and down the wing. And actually cause a bit of havoc, and as I say, cut in and score the old goal. Hopefully, do the sort of stuff that we're crying out for TC to do, but doing it in a sort of more productive way. And hopefully, he can be a bit of a mentor. I would hope for the likes of TC, because as you say, he's had over 7 years with Norwich. He was part of 2 Championship winning promotion sides to the Premier League. We won't talk about how they did in the Premier League, of course. That's another issue. But I won't dwell on that for Norwich fans' sake. But no, as I say, I was really pleasantly surprised. He's obviously not the player that he was. But as I say, he brings Championship experience. And I think, hopefully, I'm also looking to the 21st of October. I've got a front row seat. So I'm hoping that he'll get on in 5 minutes and do what he threatened to do to Marcelino. He's proper dyed in the wool Norwich now. He's a proper canary. Yeah. So looking forward to that. So
that's a game I think every Charlton fan and even every Norwich fan will be watching with close eyes to see if Hernandez does end up getting on the pitch. But yeah, I'm interested to see if he can. I mean, he's apparently been training with the club for a couple of weeks now, so he's been keeping himself fit. But I'm interested with obviously him being a winger and us playing a back 5, what sort of position he kind of fits in, whether he ends up coming on as a wing back or it maybe gives us the freedom to change formation a couple of times off the bench as well. And, he can offer something. So, ultimately he's essentially fighting for his football career. He's here until January. Besides that, he's on the free agent market again. So he's got to deliver. He's got to put in the effort, and that's what we want to see. And I think generally from what Norwich fans were saying is he puts in 110%, which fits a Jones side to a T. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, what sort of position he ends up playing, and if he can offer something. But yeah, Ipswich for Hernandez v Nunes, we will absolutely be there. The headline act for that game.
Oh yes.
Yeah, cannot wait for that. I'm a bit conscious of time, so we will move on from Derby and we'll get straight into Saturday's big game away from home at Deepdale. 2 away days on the bounce against Preston. Of course, similarly to us, they've started the season very strong. They're currently in the playoffs. They're having a good start to the season under Paul Heckingbottom. Absolutely typical that Thierry Small scored last night. So we cannot wait to see him bomb it down the wing. I'm interested to see how he fares against us. Lineups. This is tricky. This is going to be very tricky, I think, on a Saturday after Tuesday, resting players, and all that stuff. Do not want to be Jones right now, and it's almost impossible to predict this team. Well, you can probably nail down a few players in the 11, but yeah, very interested to see, how this is going to set up. So people in the chat, get your 11 in the predicted 11 in the chat. Stephen Sid, I'll come to you guys first. Any changes to the team that played against Derby last night?
I'd still like to see Miles and Tanto from the start, to be honest with you. I think you made a great point, Tyler, in regards to spinning the whole situation round. Start with those two and then bring Kelman and Campbell on to use their pace, use their guile, use their know-how against tired defenders. I think it will be a nice nice thing to look at. As I say, let the two physical boys go on and do what they do. Hopefully, nick a goal and whatever. But yeah, I'd go with that. I think with Kane coming back into the side now, that's probably him back in for Saturday as well. Yeah, I'd like to see Bree again. It's almost an impossibility to drop the lad in that respect, the way he's playing at the moment. But yeah, the midfield picks itself at the moment. I thought Doc was absolutely outstanding last night, if I'm being honest with you. And I think his pass for the goal. I know we're all absolutely cooing about the finish, but that pass for the goal was absolutely brilliant. We'd be cooing if we saw someone like Javi make that pass. But solidity again at the back, midfield again industrious, and if we had those two changes up front, I'd be quite satisfied. But yeah, it's probably going to be a case of Tyrese and Charlie again. But we'll see how we go. But they're a good side.
Yeah. Sid, any changes?
Exactly what Dad just said. I think I'd go for Miles and Tanto up front. I think bring on the power from the start, and then hopefully we get a few goals, and then let Tanto and Miles tire their defence out, and then possibly bring on Charlie and TC so that they can tire them out even more.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, to be honest. I think this is exactly the same for me. I think I would like to see Lee Burn and Tanto and see that system sort of shift, sort of swap completely over. I wouldn't mind even Kelman keeping his spot in the team and starting even one of Lee Burn or Tanto next to him. That would be interesting to see how that unfolds. And maybe controversial, but I mean, I could even make an argument for Burke to keep his spot over Ramsey as well. I wouldn't argue against it. Yeah. Burke was to keep his spot in the team. He's played well the last two games against Sheffield United and Blackburn. But as Steve said, with Ramsey back in for Derby, that's probably him back in for Saturday now, which we can't really argue with because he's been phenomenal so far, minus the red card against Millwall. But yeah, that's the sort of selection headache that Jones has. Paul, your 11 for Preston?
Well, I think we know what we want.
Yeah,
what we're going to get is another matter. So, as I say, I mean, going back to Reece Burke, I mean, I think obviously you're going to have to manage him. I hate using that phrase. Hark back to Chooks, isn't it? But he can't play, Tuesday, Saturday, or whatever. So, I mean, I think he's probably going to start with the same 11 that started yesterday. To be honest with you, I mean, he obviously, if he was going to change, the front two, I guess he'd sell it to them. Or try to sell it to them that actually, it's like, give you guys a rest. I'll start Miles and Tanto, and you guys can come and change the game or finish the game, whatever finishes or game changes, whatever you're talking this week. But I don't know. I suspect it's going to be same old, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I think, as you said there, big difference between what we want and what we're going to end up getting with this Jones side. I think we all know what's going to end up happening. Finally, Tom, your lineup, and if there's anyone in the chat saying anything about their lineups, run through them as well.
I would actually start Lee Burn and Kelman, just because they've got players like Liam Lindsay at the back, who obviously they're very very physical at the back as well. I think start Lee Burn, keep at them. I think, as I said before, this big man, little man will work. I think against them, and then obviously bring Tanto, TC on. I think that might work. I would also keep Ramsey in a team purely because Thierry's small. He knows exactly how to deal with him as well.
Yeah.
And I just think Burke's not the quickest, if we're being honest. And I think Ramsey starting allows Breed to go up a bit more as well. And obviously, we obviously know what Ramsey's like. Hope he doesn't do some of those challenges again. But that's the only change I would really make. Obviously, a fire is on their side as well. That's a lot of pace. I think was after him as well. They've got Robbie Brady, who I've not heard of in bloody donkey's years, but he's there.
Evergreen, yeah.
And Alfie Devine, obviously Terry Small, Brad Potts. They've got a lot of quality players, and they're up there for a reason at the end of the day. Yeah. And for me, it's the toughest test that we've got so far. I think they've proven a lot of people wrong, because I think a lot of people had Preston down the bottom as well. Me included. So yeah, the only changes I'd really make is Lee Burn and Kelman up top. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you say there, I think a lot of people writ off Preston and us. People at the start of the season would have put us at the bottom, and considering both teams' starts of the season, it's changed a lot of people's expectations, and it's going to be a very tough game. And obviously, the interesting part is how we're going to nullify Thierry Small, because obviously we know how he plays to a T. So I'm very excited to see the battle between our defence and him, and I think it's going to be a very tight game, very, very tough battle all over the pitch, to be honest with you. And now get into the end of it. Score predictions for the game against Preston, guys. Get your predictions in the chat. We'll run through those at the end. We'll go to Steve and Sid first. Steve, will come to you first. Score prediction and scorers against Preston.
I'm going to go for an optimistic 2-1. I would love to see Miles open his account, and maybe the skipper. Yeah, maybe the skipper might nab one on Saturday. Yeah.
I think he's had one coming, to be honest, with the way he's got forward the last few games. I think that's been coming for him. Sid, score prediction and scorers?
2-0 win with a Miles goal and a Lloyd header, because I always say that, but he hasn't seemed to do that yet. So
yeah, would be nice to get a set piece goal after conceding one last night, and Lee Burton open his account as well would be nice. Paul, score prediction, scorers?
I love that optimism from both of you. I'm going to go for a more conservative 1-1. Hopefully Miles, but just to mention, look at the highlights from last night's game. Hull got at Thierry. He was guilty for the second goal, and he was probably guilty for the first goal. He stopped. He didn't stop the crosses coming in. So that's a point. That's something to watch. But yeah, he took his goal well. But yeah, no, hopefully, I'll be happy with 1-0 from that sort of bleak northern outpost with respect to him.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, going into that game, I think again another point on the road. Just take the point, get another point on the board, and move on. But Preston and no mugs, they're a tough side to break down. Tom, finally wrap things up. Score prediction from you?
I'm gonna go for a 2-2. I think there'll be a few goals. I think we know he's gonna score because he hit plenty into Rosa to get for us, but we know he's gonna somehow bend it in top bloody left corner for us. Thierry Small will score for them. So I think Michael Smith for them as well will probably get a goal. He's an alright player, but for us, Carey will score because he's a Blackpool lad and is against Preston. I think McCordy Gillespie free kick. Why not? I think he'll score as well. And I also think Apter will come on as well and set up the goal as well. So
yeah, I mean, you've got to get the Blackpool lads involved, didn't you?
Exactly.
Sides, it'd be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Yeah.
As for me, I'm with Paul, to be honest. I think I'll go for a 1-1, a tight affair, cagey affair. Going to be a tough match, I think, all over the pitch, as we said. Completely agree with Tom. I can see exactly. It's already playing in my head over and over again. Thierry cutting in on his left and just absolutely curling on the top corner. I couldn't do it for us at all, but in terms of his shooting boots, that was. But you just absolutely know it's going to happen. And in terms of us, that Kelman goal is coming. I'm going to keep backing him. That Kelman goal is coming. I reckon it will come this weekend. I said it against Blackburn. I said it the game before that as well. But it's coming. It is definitely coming. We just need to give him the ball a bit more service, and that will come 100%. Tom, quickly run us through any score predictions in the chat before we sign off for the evening.
Chris has said 2-2 Kelman and Doc. Another Chris has also said we'll wonder if Hernandez will be on the bench as well. Tommy said 1-0 Miles. Matthew said 2-1 Macca and Carey. Jack said 2-1 Lloyd and Kelman. Chris, he changes Kelman in a small own goal. Rustos has gone for a 2-1 loss, which is interesting. Lionel's gone for a 2-1 Kelman and Lieber, small for them. And another Chris has gone for a 2-1 Charlton, Lieber and Carey. Tracy's gone for a 2-0 Kelman and Tanto. Matthew said Jerry's not playing right wing back. He's on the left side for them, so that might be an interesting one. But yeah, that is all. I think that is all of the score predictions in.
No, so Small has got Ramsey to contend with. Then that's going to be
Yes.
that's going to be an interesting battle, and James Bree as well. Who Ramsey will be giving him a talking to how to deal with him. So yeah, interesting to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, and then there's obviously TC against a Fire, which is going to be an absolute interesting one as well.
Yeah, and we was after a Fire at one point as well.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm sure it'll be an entertaining game. And yeah, hopefully we can get some points on the board. Hopefully a win, but I think we'll take a point coming out of that. So
Emma's in the chat. She's gone for a 2-0. Carey and Connor Coventry.
Ooh.
she's back in Coventry. Mhm.
Coventry.
Nice. Screamer from outside the box, please.
Oh,
We'd love
please.
it. That'd be absolutely lovely. Send the scenes in the away end with that one. Right. We will wrap things up for the Chronicles tonight. Thank you all for watching. Obviously, a bit different with me on hosting duties again, but I hope I haven't done too bad of a job. Thanks again to Tom, Paul, Steve, and Sid as ever for their excellent insights and analysis. And safe travel to all the Charlton fans that are going up to Preston. You'll be delighted to hear that I am not breaking my away day duck yet. I won't be going yet. So hopefully that's not. Hopefully that's a blessing in disguise for all the Charlton fans going. I'm sure we'll be singing our hearts out. The support at Derby was unbelievable, by the way. We forgot to mention that. The fans was absolutely incredible at Derby, and I'm sure that support will carry on over on Saturday against Preston. Safe travel to everyone going up there.
Tyler,
hopefully, it's a good
you're
result.
getting a lot of praise in the chat as well from everyone. Everyone's saying that
thank you all very much.
you've
You're
been
all very
brilliant.
Quite right.
You're very, very kind.
Top hosting again. Great job. Everyone's saying great job, and maybe you can stick the job.
Yeah.
Everyone's not going to be impressed with that.
Controversial.
Everyone's not going to be impressed with that.
And to make tonight even better, Coventry are currently 2-0 up against Millwall.
Lovely.
Ooh.
Lovely stuff. That's what we
Love
like
that.
to hear. But yeah, as I said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for your kind comments. While I'm at it as well, I may also say that I have revived my YouTube channel. I'm now starting to get some videos back up
It's
again.
a miracle.
Yeah, I know. I'm nearly a year out. Me and Sam Wyatt, who obviously has his Charlton channel, Charlton All Time Fantasy 11, we're hosting what is hopefully going to be a weekly show called Addicted. We kind of go completely off the cuff and ramble, as the name of the title goes. We are just addicted to Charlton. There's no sort of format to it. We just go off the cuff and talk all things Charlton and everything going on in our lives. So if you do want to check that out, check out my YouTube channel. I won't mention it again. It's a shameless plug, but while I've got the opportunity, I will plug away.
Sub to me as well.
Sub to Tom. Follow all of the Chronicles social pages, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the whole shebang. Thank you for watching the Chronicles tonight. It's greatly appreciated, and we will see you all on Sunday for our review of the Preston game. Thank you all for watching, guys. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Peace.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.